Today I will tell you about the girl in this story. Saw something that even today she still cannot name. Something not human, not a ghost, not a demon, but something else entirely. Something called Victor. It began on a gray, suffocating afternoon. Clouds hung so low they looked tied to the sky with thick, black strings. The air felt heavy, unnaturally still, as if the entire world was holding its breath. The girl's name was Anna, 23, a medical student, raised in a scientific family. No belief in spirits, ghosts, or anything supernatural. But what she saw that day split her life into two halves. Before Victor and after surviving him, Anna was walking back to her dorm, heading down the slope that led to the residential area. She was listening to music when suddenly her headphones glitched. A static burst. Then the world froze. The wind stopped. The trees stopped. Every sound vanished. Only silence remained. A silence so deep she could hear her heartbeat echo in her skull. Anna stopped walking, confused. And then, Anna, a low male whisper, right behind her neck. She spun around. No one. But when she took one more step forward, her entire body locked. Because at the end of the hill, standing perfectly still, was a man. Tall, thin, wrapped in a dark coat. His head tilted unnaturally to the side, like an animal examining prey. Anna swallowed hard. Who are you?" she asked, trembling. The man did not answer. His head simply tilted a little more, as if his neck had no bones at all. Anna stepped back, and he took a step forward. Not a normal step, not a run, not a walk. He drifted, as if his entire body slid across the ground without moving his legs. Anna screamed and bolted, but his footsteps made no sound. No impact, no rustle, only a whisper, soft as a breath on the back of her neck. "Don't let me catch you." Anna ran to the nearest hospital, shaking uncontrollably. Nurses grabbed her before she collapsed. The on-duty doctor, Henderson, asked her, "What did you see?" Anna tried to speak, but her throat locked tight. Only broken gasps escaped. A man, not normal. Henderson calmed her and led her to the restroom. But the moment he closed the door, the hallway lights flickered. Once, twice, 3 times, then went completely dark. And at the end of the corridor, Henderson saw a tall, thin figure standing motionless. The man's head was tilted, exactly like Anna described. Henderson froze. He couldn't scream, couldn't move. The shadowy figure began gliding toward him. Inside the room, Anna sat collapsed in the corner, her whole body trembling, her hands gripping her shirt as if she were trying to hold herself together. Her eyes were wide, her face drained of color. She whispered to herself over and over, "It's not real. It's not real. It's not real." But at that exact moment, the door snapped open. Not from wind, not from a nurse, but as if someone pushed it. Quietly, deliberately, Anna looked up. The white fluorescent lights dimmed. The edges of the world blurred. And he stood in the doorway, tall, thin, wrapped in darkness. His eyes, not black, not red, but hollow, like 2 bottomless pits carved into a face that barely looked human. Anna scrambled backward, crying in terror. Why are you following me?" He tilted his head. A twisted smile crept across his frozen face. "Because you can see me." No footsteps, no breathing, no movement you could hear. Only a soft whisper, lighter than a breeze. "Don't be afraid, Anna." And the moment she shut her eyes, tears falling, her hands covering her face, he appeared right beside her. His hand touched her shoulder, cold, sharp, like the skin of a corpse just pulled from the morgue. Anna screamed. Her scream brought nurses rushing into the room. They flicked on the lights, but there was no one. No tall man, no shadow, no Victor. Only Anna, collapsed on the floor, pale as death. Her eyes red, like she had witnessed something that did not belong to this world. Henderson dug through old hospital records and discovered Victor was once a patient here. He disappeared 27 years ago. No body, no clothes, no trace, as if he simply never existed. But after he vanished, dozens of people reported the same phenomena. Flickering lights, a dead silent atmosphere, a tall, thin man, head tilted, a smile that never moved, and a whisper, "Don't let me catch you." Anna was the newest target. After everything that happened, Henderson couldn't sleep. He sat alone in his dark office, lit only by a desk lamp that flickered like it was about to die. In his hand was an old cassette tape. The label faded, leaving only a few scribbled words. Patient 217, Victor. He inserted the tape into the player. Static crackled. Then a trembling woman's voice appeared. Day 12. Patient 217 hasn't slept at all. He just stands, staring at the wall. And when I asked him what he saw, a thud echoed through the recording. Then the woman's voice broke. He tilted his head. I saw in his eyes. Those weren't human eyes. The audio cut off with a piercing scream. Then came the sound of a chair falling, dragging, struggling. Finally, a whisper, right against the microphone. "Don't let me catch you." Henderson jolted so hard he dropped the recorder onto the floor. The room instantly sank into absolute silence. The desk lamp flickered, and behind him, a thin, bony figure stood pressed against the glass door. That night, Anna was placed in the hospital's special monitoring room. The doctors believed she was in severe shock and needed psychiatric observation. But when the lights went out, the familiar silence returned. No cars outside, no night shift voices, no hum of the air conditioner. Anna trembled. "No, please don't." She closed her eyes. And then, in the pitch black darkness, a voice as deep as if rising from the underworld whispered, "Did you call for me, Anna?" She shot upright. He was sitting on the edge of her bed. Very close. Too close. His shadow didn't fall onto the floor. It crawled up the ceiling like a separate living thing beneath him. He tilted his head. His smile stretched so wide it nearly tore his cheeks. "Do you know why you can see me?" Anna tried to scream, but her throat locked up. Victor raised one cold finger and touched her temple. "Because you're like them." After discovering the Group 0 file, Henderson rushed down to the archive room to examine the old medical records related to Victor. The archive was pitch black, the smell of mold seeping into every breath. He switched on his flashlight, sweeping across rows of filing cabinets stacked like upright coffins. Cabinet B13, where the missing persons cases were kept. He pulled the drawer open. Old folders scattered onto the floor. Henderson bent down to pick them up when he found something chilling. The portraits of all 13 victims before Anna had been torn out. As if someone wanted to erase their existence completely, only one photograph remained intact. A young woman with a face eerily similar to Anna's. Name, Eliza Moore. 27, missing. Henderson flipped the photo over. A handwritten message, shaky and crooked. "I like those with eyes that can see." B. A cold shiver ran down his spine. "Eyes that can see? See what?" Just then, a tall, thin shadow glided past the end of the hallway. No footsteps, no breathing, only a whisper right behind his ear. "Do you want to see to Henderson?" Henderson sprinted back to the treatment ward, bursting into Anna's monitoring room. But what he saw made him freeze. Anna had been gently restrained so she wouldn't harm herself. Yet on the walls, dozens of black handprints dragged down from the ceiling, as if something had tried to crawl into the room. Henderson flinched as he noticed the surveillance camera was still recording. He rewound to the time he was in the archive. The footage played. 0001, Anna lying still. 0002, the lights flicker. 0003, a black figure appears in the corner. He tilts his head. 0004, he moves toward the camera. Not walking, not stepping, but sliding as if pulled like a living shadow. He pressed his face close to the lens and spoke clearly. "You should stay away from her if you want to keep your eyes." The screen burst into white static. Henderson suddenly felt someone behind him. He turned. No one. Only the door, slightly open, and a cold wind blowing in from a place where no light existed. Henderson decided to do what no one in the hospital dared. Access the restricted archive the board had forbidden anyone to touch. A dusty file stamped with national security classified. He sat down, opened it, and the words inside made his breath hitch. Victor is not a patient. First sighted in 1924 during a coal mine collapse. No personal records, no biological information, no sign of normal life functions. Classified as not human, not a biological entity. Only those who see his true form are followed by him. On the last page, a section angrily crossed out with red ink, but still legible. When a person sees Victor, it means they have looked through the layer of reality we call the world. Victor is the thing that stands between two worlds, and the final line, once he chooses someone, they do not escape. Henderson clenched the file. No. I have to save Anna. She's too young. She doesn't even understand what she's seen. But at that moment, every door hinge in the room clicked at once, as if something had stepped in. A cold, low voice rose in the silence. Save her? You still don't understand, Henderson. The voice was right behind him. She belongs to me. Henderson spun around. No one. But the door slowly began to close, inch by inch, as if an invisible hand were pressing against it. Bang! The door slammed shut, making Henderson jump. The lights flickered violently. Henderson felt the room shrinking, as if space itself was warping. And then, in the left corner, a shadow appeared, not materializing slowly like in the movies, but there in an instant, as if it had been standing there all along, and Henderson simply hadn't noticed. The tall, thin man, neck tilted to the side, lips stretched into a warped smile. Victor, you shouldn't have read that, Henderson. His voice was deep, each word stretched out like he was savoring fear. Henderson forced himself to stay calm. What do you want from Anna? Victor took one step forward. No, not a step. He slid toward him, his shadow stretching beneath him like something alive. I want what she saw. Henderson trembled. She didn't see anything. Victor went silent, then slowly, painfully, slowly tilted his head another few degrees. Crack, like bone snapping. Oh, but she did. He lowered his face to Henderson's, his empty eyes like bottomless pits. She saw the real world, not like you. Victor's hand reached out, elongating unnaturally as if it had no joints. Henderson backed away. Stay back. Victor touched his forehead with one icy finger. You want to see too, don't you? Henderson's mind exploded. He was no longer in the room. No ceiling, no walls, no floor. Just darkness, endless, suffocating, thick like tar. And in that darkness, hundreds, no, thousands of tilted heads. Like Victor, identical, paper thin, unnaturally tall, all staring at Henderson, not blinking, not breathing, not moving, just tilting their heads and whispering, "We were here before your kind named the world. We see you, but you do not see us." except for those like Anna. A taller shadow stepped forward, Victor, but now no longer human-shaped. Its body stretched like a steel column, its face featureless, a gaping black void. His voice echoed from everywhere at once. Seeing us here means belonging to us. Henderson screamed, "No, I don't belong here." Victor stood beside him, whispering, "You've seen now, Henderson, so survive." Shh. He released Henderson. The real world slammed back into existence. Henderson collapsed onto the floor of the room, gasping, cold sweat soaking his shirt. Victor was gone. Henderson sprinted to Anna's monitoring room, but when he opened the door, the bed was empty. The restraints were torn apart, ripped clean through by something stronger than a human. The window hung open, freezing wind whipping into the room. On the wall, in a black, sticky substance, the words, "It's time to come home, Anna." Henderson nearly collapsed. No, Anna." He ran to the window. Down in the courtyard, in the darkness, Anna stood there, still, silent, unmoving, just standing. Her neck tilted to one side. Exactly, like Victor. And behind her, a tall, thin shadow sliding closer, its long hands nearly touching her shoulders. Victor whispered, "I found you." Henderson sprinted across the hospital courtyard. Rain began pouring down, icy enough to sting his spine. "Anna, Anna!" The girl stood motionless like a shadow. Neck tilted, arms limp, eyes hollow. A person drained clean of every emotion. Behind her, Victor emerged, no longer the thin human figure. His body stretched and twisted, a living mass of moving darkness. Extra arms sprouted from his sides, reaching out and then disappearing. His face was no longer a face, just a deep, endless hollow. Rain slid across him but never touched his skin, as if he didn't belong to this air at all. Henderson screamed, voice cracking, "Don't touch her!" Victor stopped. He turned his head, a full 180 degrees, staring directly at Henderson. His voice echoed, distorted like two overlapping worlds speaking at once. "She has seen us. She belongs to us, and so do you, Henderson." Henderson trembled. "She's alive. Please spare her." Victor paused, observing him like one might observe a pitiful creature. "Humans are amusing. You beg for each other's lives when you've never once seen the real world." A pitch-black hand rested on Anna's shoulder. Her body twitched. Henderson charged forward, but slammed into something invisible. He couldn't touch her. He couldn't touch him. Victor looked at Henderson through the hollow where eyes should be. "To save her, take her place." Henderson froze. "Take her place?" Victor extended one long arm, stretching endlessly like a ribbon of living shadow, and touched Henderson's forehead. "Her freedom, or your soul?" Tears streamed down Henderson's face. He knew. He would die. No, something worse. He would belong to them. But he looked at Anna, the frightened girl, shivering under the rain, her eyes empty. And he whispered, "I accept." Victor said nothing. He simply placed his hand over Henderson's head and pulled. Henderson's body crumpled like a shadow being twisted, then was dragged into the hollow void where Victor's face should have been. Gone. No scream, no blood, only a faint cracking sound as if space itself had closed. Anna collapsed to the ground. The courtyard lights flickered back on. The rain sounded normal again. Life returned. She opened her eyes, trembling, her consciousness restored. "Dr. Henderson?" No answer. Victor stood a few meters away watching her, but this time he didn't tilt his head, he didn't smile, he didn't move closer. He simply said, "He chose." Then he vanished. The darkness dissolved into the rain like it had never existed. Epilogue, 3 months later. Anna recovered. The hospital closed the case under psychological disturbance. No one mentioned Henderson. No one knew where he went. Only Anna, the only one who understood. One evening when she opened the door to her new apartment, she found an old, damp file folder on the floor. Water-stained, moldy. On the cover, scribbled words, Group 0, the Seers. Inside, a new photograph on the last page. A nighttime picture, blurry and grainy, a tall, thin figure. But this time, its face had Henderson's shape. His mouth twisted into a crooked smile. And beneath the photo, a trembling handwritten note. Don't let me catch you. The final page, left blank, waiting for the next victim. And if you're watching this video in the dark, if your lights flicker, if you feel a cold breath behind you, don't turn around, because sometimes all Victor needs is for you to look back.